golfj.com.
Happy Memorial Day and good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Golf J podcast on FingerLakes1.tv. I'm Jim Shinnecock in here inside the FingerLakes1.com studio with Rhett DeConey and Doug Brown. It's Monday, May 28th, 2018. We're winding down Memorial Day weekend. We'll be talking about the Memorial Tournament coming up next weekend, the two winners over the past 2 weeks that we've been off, early odds to win the U.S. Open, and how to choose a long mid-iron or a hybrid. You know, when you're, for me, that distance is anywhere from like 190 to 210, where I could hit maybe if my 5-iron or my 4 hybrid or 3 hybrid, and we'll talk about that. But first of all, fellas, happy Memorial Day weekend.
Thanks, you too, Jim.
Same to you, Jim.
And we get some golf in this weekend. I played 3 rounds between Friday and Monday, so that's a senior tournament, a full senior PGA tournament, 3 rounds.
I got 2.
I got some boating in.
Oh, there you go.
No golf at all, huh?
No golf this weekend. I'm ready for Wednesday.
Which is only 2 days away.
It is.
That's right.
So
To wave this flag for my daughter. Happy Memorial Day, Ava.
Very nice.
She asked me to bring the flag and put it on the show today.
we did something cool at Seneca Falls Country Club. We had the American flag as the flag stick on 9 and 18, which was a pretty cool thing to do. We'll do it again on July 4th, I'm sure.
It looks
Flag
sweet.
Day as well.
And Flag Day as
Yes.
well? Nice.
Yes.
It looked nice from the road. You could see it. It's
Yeah.
definitely noticeable.
Yeah,
That's
and we had a stand on the fringe that you could rest the flag without the flag touching the ground. So we had all our bases covered.
Nice.
And great weather finally up here in the Finger Lakes. So, well, we've been off for a couple weeks, and in those 2 weeks, we have a couple winners. One a first-time winner, one a 9-time winner. Let's start with going back 2 weeks ago and talk about Aaron Wise, who shot a bogey-free final round 65 for a 3-shot win. He was minus 23 over Mark Leishman. It was his first tour victory, and the tournament at Trinity Forest Golf Club in Dallas, the Crenshaw Bill Core design that was built on top of a landfill. But Aaron Wise, first of all, guys, he's 21 years old, and as a winner on the PGA Tour, he can now set his own schedule. He's going to play in all the big tournaments, and is he going to be the next young gun to join the what seems like,
About 12 of them now.
Yeah,
He's tough. NCAA champ a couple years ago.
Yeah, Oregon, right?
Oregon.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think that he's been on a leaderboard a little bit the last month or so.
Yep.
So it wasn't a very big surprise for him to win because he's been playing very well. And I thought he played a fantastic tournament, and obviously bogey-free round for your first win. You know, you just took it and won. Nobody fell apart for you to get you the first W. He played well. I think he's tough.
Yeah, and you also consider the fact that he had the lead. I can't remember how many strokes he was leading going into the final round, but he had a lead, slept on it, woke up, rain delay, pushed him back 4 hours.
Right.
So on top of that, this 21-year-old kid sitting on the lead for his first PGA Tour victory. He was in contention a few weeks ago as well, but he had to sit on it a little longer, and then came back, and I think he birdied 4 holes in a row on the back 9 to kind of clinch it. And really impressive, you know, his composure in that final round when the gap narrowed, and the way he reacted, and never seemed to be very stoic,
Right.
you know, in his approach. So I think Aaron Wise has got a good chance to win again this year.
Well, he made up some ground too. He was 4 shots back after the first day, and Leishman, you know, was at.
He shot 61 the first day, didn't he?
Yeah, he shot 61.
Yeah.
He was 20 under, so
Yeah.
it wasn't like he backed up too much. He ended up with he went 66 the next day, and then a 60, 69, 68. So
That's good golf.
yeah, the two of them went head to head. And Brandon Grace even too was 19 under. So
Yeah, Gray shot 60 or 61 the last round, did he?
62. Yeah,
62.
Yeah.
And he's playing better. The one big story that week was the golf course, Trinity Forest, a new course. Just Jordan Spieth, a member of the course. It's in Dallas,
Right.
built on top of a landfill, but an absolute links course. Not a tree on the course or any water for that matter. they can't because it's on top of a landfill, so the roots can't penetrate the cap of the landfill.
Right.
And the players generally were well received. Most of them liked it. I think Justin Rose missed the cut. I don't think he liked it.
Yeah, he's okay now.
Yeah,
He did all right the next week.
It looked good on television.
Yeah, it was a fun course.
Didn't know what it was built on, you would never have known it, I don't think.
Right.
Like it with no trees or not, that's a matter of opinion.
Yeah.
But the golf course itself, the layout, looked fantastic.
Yeah, it was something different, and I guess that's a good thing. I remember last time we were here, I wasn't too excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
I like the more traditional courses, but after watching it, it was a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
And they built it to have the wind play a factor, and when the wind didn't blow, the scores went down, and what was it, minus 23 won it. So, which I guess that'll bring me to you. What did you think of the course?
I was just, I like it. It seems like it's just weird not having any trees at all. But, unless you're in Scotland. But Corey and Crenshaw tend to do stuff like that, sand hills out there, and they've done a lot of courses, not a lot, but they've done a handful of courses in the Midwest and central part of the country, in places like that where there's old sand dunes and things like that. Going back to Bandon, where they try to do a lot of natural things and utilize the landscape as it is. So, there was a 62, 263s final round, 66, 68. There was a bunch of good numbers that day. So the weather was definitely favorable for these guys going low. Of course, like that, you're wide open. You can pretty much hit it around anywhere you want.
Yeah, there's nothing there to stop those guys. A couple of years ago at the U.S. Open, there was an event. The course only had one tree. Was it Chambers Bay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
One tree.
I thought this course looked better than Chambers Bay.
Yeah, no doubt. It was
Okay.
greener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
so-
Chambers. I feel bad for Chambers Bay, to be honest with you. I played there a
know.
year before that, and I played in, I want to say it was in March, and it was just beautiful.
Yeah.
It was green, everything looked great, and you're thinking at that point, like, wow, this is going to be a great place for U.S. Open. And
Right.
man, did it look different
Right.
a year later with, no water, and just it was kind of in rough shape for what they were trying to get out of it as a U.S. Open course.
Yeah,
Well,
it was
the
definitely rough.
U.S. Open made that move away from the traditional, and I think that's not the U.S. Open to me. What I saw at Chambers Bay that year is not the U.S. Open. I think what we'll see, at Shinnecock this year will be more like a familiar U.S. Open, even though that is a links course as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming up in just a couple weeks.
Yes, it is.
And last week, Justin Rose shoots 20 under, and this was actually just yesterday.
Right.
6 under 64, finished 20 under. 3-stroke victory over Brooks Koepka. It was Justin Rose's 9th career PGA Tour victory. He's 37 years old, number 5 player in the world, 2nd win of the year, won the WGC HSBC Champions in Shanghai in October. So a little trivia for you guys, that there's 5 multiple win play golfers this season on the PGA Tour. Can you name them all 5? And they are written down in front of you.
I can now.
Yeah.
Jason Day. I'm not looking. I'm going to see if I can do it. Jason Day, Justin Rose. What's the? I got to look.
I think 4 of them, Rose and 3 others are easy.
Yeah, the Kazires.
Kazire. That was the one I was trying to get my hands on.
Bubba
Kazire.
Watson,
Bubba's
Justin,
won twice?
yeah, but in like a span of 4 weeks, I think it was.
Wow.
Justin Thomas, Jason Day, and Pat and Kazire.
Okay.
And now Justin Rose.
Right.
And, looking at 2 weeks ago, Wise minus 23, Justin Rose minus 20. When Ben Hogan won Colonial 5 times, I think.
Yeah.
1 under, 1 over, 1 under, 5 over, 2 under. I mean, those were the scores he won. It's just a different game.
20 under.
Same course, different game.
Well, of course, plays a lot shorter nowadays,
Mhm.
right? Big difference. Then, of course, you throw the athletes, the conditioning. But to me, the distance of the golf course, that thing's only about 6,800 yards.
Yep.
To those guys, that's about 6,000. The way they play. So that was probably a par 67 overall, in a sense.
Really?
Right? 68, something like that, because they're going to birdie all the par 5s.
Yeah.
And there's a couple other short holes out there, too. It just the distance off the tee makes the difference comparing it to Ben Hogan. Ben Hogan probably averaged 255 off the tee to win those tournaments. These guys are averaging 310.
Yeah, through the Colonial, tournament, the average driving distance on tour is 294 point something, and last year through the Colonial it was 288.
Wow!
So it went up. It's gone up almost every year.
Yeah.
This was a bigger jump than normal. We'll see what it looks like at the end of the year. And if you want to talk about this debate, I guess the golf ball and equipment manufacturers are attributing it to the work ethic and the physical, the attention to diet and the way these younger players work out.
Right.
But I think it has a lot to do with the equipment too. More so than, well, maybe, it both probably plays into it, but certainly Ben Hogan didn't have tailor-made M2 drivers and these
titanium face as opposed to persimmon.
The aerodynamic golf balls with less spin. So but it makes a place like Colonial yield 20 under.
It does. The setup too, it just seems like on all the regular PGA Tour events, from the fall through, obviously not the majors and the WGCs or players, but it just seems like they set them up so easy for these guys. Do you think do they whine that much that the PGA Tour wants to? I don't know. Seeing this guy, seeing Justin Rose shoot 66, 64, 66, 64, that's not exciting.
No, it's video game golf.
Right.
But I don't think they want the spectators to watch them shoot 74, 76, 74, 72 to win.
I get that part.
Because even there was a couple debacle U.S. Opens historically that people really struggled watching 7 over par win at Winged Foot back in the 70s, right? So I don't think the average spectator wants to watch that.
But isn't -6, -10, isn't that?
Well, I think it's fine. A couple under par around, 3 under par.
Yeah.
I agree.
61s last week. Last week, 4 guys shoot 63, 62s.
I think on Thursday and Friday they set it up easy because of the number of people in the field. They got 144 people to get around.
Keep it moving.
And you're still battling with darkness, even though we've moved into the summer months. Mm-hmm. Any kind of a weather delay, and they're screwing up their Saturday schedule. So I think my guess would be the pins are more towards the middle or the leveler spots. But then you see the scores usually go up a little bit on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Not this week or last week.
Yeah. But I don't know what the average was, but the whole thing's different because half the population.
It just seems the greens are perfect, the fairways are perfect, the rough's perfect. There's no.
Well, Ben Hogan didn't have that. The greens weren't perfect when Ben Hogan played.
Right.
The PGA doesn't want to set up their regular week-to-week tour stops like majors. That's not the goal.
Right.
But
it just seems like with the technology, with their commitment to fitness, and with the way these courses are set, it just seems like the numbers are going too far. Mm-hmm. I mean,
it's the distance thing is what it is. That's what it is more than anything else. It's not putter technology.
It's just so short irons into every green, right? And I mean,
par 5s where you hit 8 and 9 irons in for your second shot.
Right.
Par 4s at Colonial where you could hit a 3 iron off the tee and still have a wedge.
Right.
I think it's a golf ball and the equipment.
Yeah.
And whether there's something done by the USGA and the R&A or the PGA Tour to roll back the golf ball for these touring pros,
they're all going to battle that because they're making products for us to buy, and that's where they market them the best, right? And I'm going to play the golf ball or the golf club that Justin Rose played this past weekend because he won, right? And that's where they're playing that. So those guys aren't going to buckle to say, Tour, let's back this off, because we want them using a product that the average customer is going to, or consumer is going to get their hands on. If they got a golf ball that we wouldn't get to use,
we could still use it, but it wouldn't be the best one for us.
We wouldn't know, right?
Well, I think it would be known that the Tour would say, okay, the manufacturers, Justin Rose would still play TaylorMade and Jason Day. The Titleist guys still play Titleist, but there would be they would have to conform to the Tour regulations for professional golf.
Yeah,
we could still play the Titleist AVX or whatever. The longest ball I think is amateurs, and then there'd have to be certain tournaments, I think, where they would have to define, whether it be like a U.S. amateur or those types of tournaments where they would define this is an open ball event or this is a conforming ball event.
Right. But what does it do to you mentioned a couple of Titleist golf balls. What does it do to the price point for Titleist golf balls if Justin Thomas isn't using a Pro V1 that we can go buy at $50 a dozen today, does that become $25 a dozen later on? I know the guys all lose money.
Yeah, no, it's probably not ideal, but it's also pretty expensive to try to lengthen these golf courses beyond them because it's not going to go the other way. If something isn't done, it's just going to continue. Like I said, through the Colonial, these guys are hitting 294 for an average across all tour players. That's everybody from, Brian Harmon to Dustin Johnson.
Right.
And next year at this time, we could be talking about the tour average being 300.
Right. So what'll happen, the only way they can do Colonial would be to put cricks and bunkers someplace to slow everybody down.
Right.
But maybe Colonial doesn't want to do that, which then takes them out of the tour market. And we'll be playing at another landfill someplace else.
Right, some new monstrosity that is inaccessible for average players or alien to the average player.
Right.
Looks different and would just be too difficult.
Right. So you lose the history of that event. Like Ben Hogan won this thing several times. We wouldn't talk about that later on because Colonial's gone.
Yeah.
I just think, with them going so low every week in these tournaments, I just feel like I don't mind them making a few birdies here and there to go back and forth with each other. But, Rose had, what do you have, a 4-shot lead going into the tournament. He ended up winning by 3.
Yeah.
He shoots great numbers. So does Griot. It's just like, okay, birdie. I mean, they're not really challenging each other. There's not a couple bogeys thrown in there to make it interesting. It was just, they went straight through and ripped the course up.
Right.
I'd like to see a little more drama with some bogeys and, having to make a couple putts to win the tournament. I think.
Hopefully that's what we get from the U.S. Open and
the
majors, but that's not necessarily the case anymore either.
Well, we talked last year, maybe a little bit earlier this year, about how many 59s could be shot by these guys because of these types of conditions. You got Colonial relatively short. These guys are very good.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of them that are very good. 59 has been a big deal. There's still only several of them, but there could be 10 this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Or it could be 2 in one weekend.
Kevin Knopf flirted with it twice this weekend.
Yes.
Two times in one tournament. He goes 62 and 61.
Right. Now, obviously, they're playing well, but why they're playing well, they got a wedge in their hand all day.
Yeah.
But the 59 shot by Al Geiberger will certainly, got to say, it's better than a 59 that would be shot by Kevin Na or any of these guys nowadays on one of these courses.
No doubt.
Al Geiberger was using wooden drivers.
Yes.
Yeah,
and true balata balls. It's amazing, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of equipment, Justin Rose, pure TaylorMade. It's been a good year for TaylorMade. We mentioned the 2-time winners, Jason Day and now Justin Rose, both 100% TaylorMade. He plays the M3 driver at 9 degrees. He plays the M4 3-wood at 15 and M3 5-wood he carries, so no hybrids. He's got actual 3-wood, 5-wood, 19-degree 5-wood. His irons are the TaylorMade P730, the Rose prototype, 5 through 9. He also carries a 4-iron. That's a P790. Wedges, TaylorMade milled grind, 48, 52, and 56, and a TaylorMade milled grind high toe 60. Putts with a TaylorMade TP Red Ardmore 2 and plays the TaylorMade TP5 golf ball. So all top to bottom TaylorMade, and it's I think you got Titleist and you got TaylorMade in terms of who's winning at the highest level. I think the Callaway's not even close to Titleist or TaylorMade at this point.
I would think you're right with the winners.
Yeah.
The event winners, I agree. There's a lot of Callaway product out there, but they're not winning events right now.
Right.
So TaylorMade makes a good product.
Yeah.
They really do. And they got a lot of players in their fold. Many, many players.
So one other thing that I found interesting, you guys remember the rule that was passed, and it probably got glossed over with some of the other restrictions and regulations the PGA Tour unveiled a year ago. Maybe it was even a year and a half ago now, but it was one of them was if you were going to be a card-carrying member, you had to play a course that you hadn't played in the past 4 years as part of the year. Right. So Justin Rose looked at his schedule, and he only had the opportunity for the John Deere, the Wyndham, or this week at the Colonial. The Colonial this week coincided with the BMW Championship at Wentworth on the European Tour, which is the biggest European Tour tournament. Justin Rose wanted to play at the BMW, but because of this rule, he had to choose between those 3 events I mentioned. Ruled out the John Deere due to the Scottish Open being the week before the Open at Carnoustie, so he wanted to be over there getting ready for that. He ruled out the Wyndham tournament because he didn't want golf fatigue heading into the playoffs followed by the Ryder Cup. Right. And so he made the tough decision to not go to the BMW, a tournament he's never won, right, that he would like to win, and come here to Colonial, which worked out good for him. Yeah. But it's just that little rule that the PGA Tour made, it hurts the European Tour a little bit, but it does bring a guy like Justin Rose to the Colonial where he normally wouldn't be. It makes these each field at these particular tour stops a little more interesting by throwing in a random guy like Justin Rose who may not have been there. I don't know if you guys like the rule or.
I like it because at least every 4 years he's got to play there.
Yep.
Okay, and assuming that event's still there and all that. So if I'm the John Deere guy and every 4 years my big guys are going to be there, maybe not all at once, but at least incrementally, once every 4 years, they got to show up. I think it's great for the small market tournaments. Absolutely. The LPGA did that for many, many years, and they still may do that. I remember Annika Sorenstam played at Rochester and went there and watched because it was the first time I believe she had ever played there, or she'd been there 4 years earlier, but she wasn't much of a big name yet at that time. But it was like twice the crowd.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what they want, right? So, I mean, she was that type of draw. Yeah. This guy's a big draw, and there's many other names that are equally big draws, if not more. They all got to show up.
Yeah, so, and that can make a tournament. One big name like that can increase your attendance by 10-15%, I would imagine, at a particular tournament. It's like a great job that the Travelers has done, right, following the U.S. Open to entice players like Rory McIlroy and Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas all in the field at the Travelers, which was just kind of a, it was on the same level as your average tour stop, like Colonial or like the Byron Nelson or any of these. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, they're getting some of the top players, and the galleries swell, and it becomes a destination event.
Yeah, this had a good field, too. I mean, you had some pretty decent names for that.
Sure.
I like more of the minimum requirement just because, Justin Rose plays a lot of PGA Tour events. For this event particularly, it helps them for sure. On a grand scale, you'd like to see him be able to there goes your train. You'd like to see him be able to play in the bigger, European tournaments as well. It's tough for these guys that like to go back and forth on 2 tours, though. I mean, we get even on the other side of it, when Paul Casey just decided to forego his European Tour membership, he couldn't play in the Ryder Cup. Right. So,
you know what? To me, it's like a lot of things here in this world. The European Tour is becoming relegated to second-tier status. It always kind of has been, but if they're making guys choose, they're always going to choose the PGA over the European Tour, and how that affects Ryder Cups going forward. But again, in like the NFL trying to get franchises and games over in Europe and in different parts of the Mexico, and the NBA trying to get a global presence. The PGA Tour, if they're trying to expand like most corporations, they're publicly traded do nowadays, they need to expand beyond the borders of the U.S. So it would only make sense that they would attempt to have some sort of, get their tour a little more global. The WGC events are helping in that a little bit. That's not the PGA Tour, but they have the PGA Tour Latin America Tour. I don't know. It just seems to me that if I'm the PGA Tour commissioner and I'm looking to grow, I'm looking to have 1 or 2 events of my regular season over in Europe.
You would think that they might work on a way to tie in the BMW with the PGA Tour and make that.
Yeah, but that hurts the European Tour even more. I mean, that's at some point the European Tour becomes like the Web.com Tour. I don't think it's quite that far yet. There's obviously great players that are winning tournaments over there right now in the European Tour, but a guy like Justin Rose isn't there for their biggest event in his own backyard.
Right. But what do you do here, though? You got Colonial is U.S. based. They're looking for sponsors, corporate sponsorship.
Yeah, they did get one. They did. Next year it'll be called the
Charles Schwab, isn't it?
Charles Schwab, right?
Yeah. But so this year they got nobody. So if they're negotiating with somebody, and I'm Charles Schwab, don't I want all the big guys?
Yeah.
At least every once in a while, or I'm out of here. Right, because you're going to tell me that this could end up being almost like a web.com, then it's not worth the money you're asking me to fork over.
Right.
I don't know what they give, but I'm sure it's a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So they get caught. The tour gets caught in the middle here. What do they do?
Yeah, that's true. It's a tough call, but at the end of the day, like I said, it works for a tournament like this. And the guy that needed to be there wins the tournament, so it looks good for them. And hey, he picked up another W.
Yeah, and $1.4 million. I think it might have been worth the stay.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not complaining about missing the BMW at this point, but
No.
one tournament that doesn't have to worry about any type of special circumstance to attract players will be the Memorial, which is this weekend, Murfield Village. And we talk about the players being the 5th major. I think this is the 6th major. I think it's clearly a cut above the fact that it's at Murfield Village. Jack Nicklaus's design, and it's such a familiar feel and course that we're all getting used to. Only course to host all 3 of Pro Golf's team events: the Ryder Cup in '87, the Solheim Cup in '98, and President's Cup in 2013. And what a great field. Justin Thomas, number 1 player in the world, number 1 player in the FedEx Cup, will tee it up for the first time as the new world number 1. And Dustin Johnson will be there as well. So there'll be a showdown there between the former number 1 and the current number 1. Jason Day, who's actually Columbus is his wife's hometown and is his adopted hometown, he'll be there. 8 of the top 10 in the world rankings will be there, and Tiger Woods is back, 5-time Memorial champ, playing for the first time since 2015. It'll be on Golf Channel Thursday and Friday, 2:30 to 6:30, and then the weekend early coverage on Golf Channel. Then CBS has it in the afternoon. So, yeah, I look forward to this. This is like must watch. I don't necessarily drop everything I'm doing on Sunday afternoon to watch the Valspar, but I do for this one.
Definitely. But does Justin Rose keep going? I mean, he's 14 out of 14 cuts, made 9 top 10s. So is this the year he wins another major? I mean, he's the way he's playing. It's just
he'll be in contention.
Lights out.
Come Shinnecock. I don't know how he'll do this week. I'm not a big
back-to-back.
Look at Webb Simpson last week. One of the players looked unstoppable. Comes down to Colonial, misses the cut. It's difficult to win back-to-back nowadays. It throws your schedule off.
No, yeah, I'm just saying the way he's playing, he's got 9 out of 14 or top 10s, and he made every cut. And just to project him out, the way he's playing, and as good as anybody yet. I know Justin Thomas just took over world number 1, but to me, Justin Rose right now, I think is the best player out there.
I think for Justin Rose, it's just a matter of when he putts well, because he putted well this week. He's had a rough year putting. I think his ball striking has been tremendous. But if he gets that putter going like he did, and it's a fine line there. You're talking about a stroke a day.
Yeah.
4 shots, 5 shots on a week.
Yeah.
You're up in the leaderboard, or you're on page 12, or missed a cut, something like that. So, but he looked comfortable with that putter. But I think that's the difference for him.
Yeah. No question.
Well, we'll see if he is in contention in Muirfield. Yeah. Justin Thomas finished 4th last year at the Memorial. 2 wins, a playoff loss, and 5 top 15 finishes for the world number 1. And then the other top contender, I would think, would be Jason Day. Although he's never finished top 10 at Murfield Village. He was tied for 15th last year. That was his best finish, but he's playing well. Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth in the field, Rory McIlroy. I mean, this is a good one.
No doubt. It's just a great tournament. It's not it's not considered the 5th or 6th major, but it's basically probably one of the ones that if you picked all the take a poll from all the players, which ones they put on their calendar every year. The big guys all play this tournament. It's Jack's tournament, obviously. So there's the tie in there. But just how great a course it is, how classy the whole tournament is, the way it's run. Jack kind of emulates the way they do things at Augusta for just how the course is set up.
Augusta of the North.
Yeah, I mean, just how it's set up.
Right.
Just all the little details that he puts into it. And he takes full watch over the whole tournament. He's there all week and just very much involved. So I think this is just a great tournament to watch.
I think if you polled the players what tournaments they like to win through their career, besides the major events, this event and Arnold's event would be right up there, one or two coming out of their mouths.
Right.
Okay. TPC right there as well. Those three would be probably the
PGA Tour
right
events.
underneath the four major events.
Right.
Okay. And it, all because of the guy.
Right.
Right. If that wasn't Jack Nicklaus and if it wasn't Arnold Palmer, I don't think those comments come out. But Jack knows how to run an event. Certainly hit his top notch. They have great milkshakes from what I hear.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
And
I think that the Memorial, like, we lost Arnold Palmer. I think that over the years, the Bay Hill tournament will become less a must-play event because you're not personally offending someone by not going.
Right.
I think that Murfield, regardless of whether when Jack's not involved anymore, will still be the status because of the course and the time of year and the placement and the feel. Now, who knows where it'll move to, when they finally get around to releasing the new PGA Tour schedule for 2019, what it'll look like. But I imagine that won't move too far from...
it seemed to always have come in May area and always been an important tournament to gear up for the summer majors.
It seemed to be a little bit earlier when it first started. They've actually moved it back because Jack worked with them to say,
better weather.
May in Ohio is not predictable necessarily. It's no different than our weather here.
Sure.
Yep.
Early May could be awful, and it kind of was this year.
Yep.
But I think with the name of the tournament, he was always trying to be around Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
All right, it just matter of where it falls on the schedule from there.
Right.
But the later in May or early June is a better fit for the Northeast, right? So,
no question.
But I think it's a great course too. It looks great on television.
Yeah.
It's just really great design.
So Tiger hasn't broken the top 60 at the Memorial since he won in 2012. But we were talking before the show. A year ago this weekend, Memorial League weekend, was where Tiger got arrested for the DUI with the pills, the embarrassing incident with the mugshot, and the video footage of his sobriety tests and all that. And now 1 year later, the guy is a contender. He's a regular tour player, and it's amazing.
Look at Jim.
Stats don't lie.
You wouldn't think. Look, if we went back a year ago, we obviously talked about on this podcast, like, guy's life's falling apart, let alone playing golf again on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, it was definitely a different conversation last year at this time about which direction he was taking. But now with the way he's playing, I think it seems like the thought is like everybody was like, is he coming? Is he back? When will he be back? Will he ever be back? But it's like no, he hasn't won a tournament yet. But I think that everybody's basically like, he's back. He's playing. He's making cuts. He's competing. He's contending. I think that'll solidify it when he does, if he does break through and get a win. But
well, this would be one.
Yeah.
He loves the course. He's won it 5 times.
Yeah.
Amazing Tiger stat, just to go back to 1999. He won the Memorial. Then he won 9 tour events before the 2000 Memorial. So he won in 99, won 9 more events, won back-to-back in 2000, then won the U.S. Open by 15 shots and the British Open, I believe, that year as well. So, I mean, you want to talk about
a run.
Yeah, that was it.
Definitely.
And when we say, will Tiger ever be back to that? There's no way. Nobody ever will.
Yeah.
But can he win this week? Is he ready to win? I mean, to me, he's shown that he can play and get there, but I haven't seen him come through on Sunday yet when the way the old Tiger did almost every week.
Right.
So I don't know why it would happen. I don't know what would have changed between the players when he last played and kind of faded a little bit. Or wait a second.
He had 2 good rounds. Two good rounds on the weekend.
He makes the cut
by 1 shot.
Yeah, so he's got one or two things has happened. He's barely made the cut, then loosened up and played great on the weekend, but obviously nowhere near winning.
Right.
Or he had been in contention, like he was at what was the tournament where
the Honda Classic. He was in contention.
And then another one.
Well, Valspar, he birdied 17 to get within a shot.
Right.
Yeah.
And then parred 18.
Yeah. So
beat by 1.
And there was one that he kind of fluttered a little bit on 15 or 16 in one of the third tournament that he was up there.
But Can he win this week?
I think
Is
he
it
can.
time?
It's just a matter of, he's played a little bit of golf now, which I think he really needed to do, right? Knows the golf course, which always helps. But it just seems like he's got one facet of his game is not quite sharp at each one of those events you talked about.
Right.
All right. For him, the facet he needs is the chipping and putting.
Yeah.
Because it looks like he's got no problem putting that driver away and hitting that 3-wood if he needs to. Because
Yep.
length is not his concern.
No.
I mean, he's such a good iron player and all that kind of good stuff. I don't even know why he ever hits driver as hard as he hits it. He doesn't need to.
Right.
But it does seem like we've seen all facets of it be sharp, which just got to put it together. Like Justin Rose had all facets this week. Right?
Yeah.
So, Valspar, he made that birdie putt on 17. It looked like the old days. And, what's he get? 25 feet on the 18th hole and misses the putt.
Yep.
But he hit the fairway, hit the green. He didn't throw it in a bunker or into the trees or anything like that. But he didn't hit driver off that tee box, which probably was where he lost ground a little bit.
One thing, too, I think people forget from time to time is how dominant he was 12 years ago, 15 years ago. Like now, look at the guys who he's playing against. And not that he wasn't playing against anybody back then, but, you've got guys, even Leishman, who's made 12 out of 14 cuts, 7 top 10s. Ricky Fowler, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Justin Rose, Kuchar, McIlroy. Right. I mean, just such a list of players playing their best in the best parts of their career.
Yep.
That it's a different story for him now. Like, so if he's playing his best, doesn't mean he's going to win.
Right.
It doesn't, like 15 years ago, he was playing his best. He was winning the tournament, and we all knew that, and we all watched and saw him do exactly what he set out to do. I don't think he can do that anymore. I think there's just too many talented golfers out there.
Yeah, but I don't think it's because there is more talented golfers, but Tiger isn't that same guy that he was back then. If he was, I think he would do the same thing to these guys.
Well, I agree with you there, but I just think overall, even if he has his A game, he could still get beat on any given day based on who's playing now and the distances they hit and how much different the game is.
If he has his A game now,
he still
I
could
agree,
lose.
but he won the U.S. Open by 15 shots. I think
I
I think no matter who was in the field, whether it was Dustin Johnson, he wins that tournament by 15 shots.
But I could see somebody else amongst this group shooting 15 under that same tournament nowadays. I'm just saying that his best back then with some of these guys might have competed a little bit. They might be closer.
Because 1 out of 10 is going to have a good week.
Right.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're just hitting it so much farther than they even did 15 years ago. So that's all I'm getting at. It's like, they're throwing short 9-irons into every green at Pebble Beach.
Right.
15 years ago, they didn't do that.
No, but he's actually doing that. His club head speed is as good as anybody's. His driver average is as good as anybody's.
That's the most surprising thing to me, that at his age and after the surgeries and stuff, all of a sudden he's hitting the ball as far as he ever did.
But he's been inconsistent with that too. But when
he always was though. When he was dominant, he would spray the driver all over the place and save par somehow.
Yes.
I think still the short game and putting just isn't as world class as it once was when he was dominant.
Right.
And whether that's a matter of time, I think that's a harder thing to get back.
You knew in 2008 on 18 when he hits that was it a pitching wedge at the U.S. Open hits that pitching wedge from the rough.
Which Open was it?
The U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. The last one.
To beat
you knew he was going to make that putt to get to the playoff.
Oh
yeah.
Now,
right.
Yeah, you were surprised when he missed because he rarely did.
Right.
In those situations.
That was just a whole different guy.
So I agree with your assessment. He hit the drive all over the place, no doubt. And back in those days, he'd get it from under a tree, over the trail or whatever. Those are shots you don't go practice.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's on the range doing some certain things. You might hit a couple of knockdowns, but you're not trying to hit a ball all the time this high off the ground. That's something you just have. Yep. And I don't think he has that anymore.
Right.
I'll agree with that. Okay. Because there was some unbelievable escapes that he's pulled over the years. We've seen him there on the top 50 golf highlights all over the place, right? So I just don't know if he has it. And again, I don't think it's something you work at. You just have that creativity and that confidence to pull it off. And I don't think he has the confidence to do that.
Yeah, I just think his best now is Dustin Johnson could be just as good at any given day or any given tournament. Jason Day, Jordan Spieth, Rory, all at their best, I think, are as good as him at his best now.
10 to 20 guys that fit into that category.
Yeah, I think they're better than Tiger at his best now. Whether Tiger can raise his level of play a little bit to be as good as some of those guys you mentioned are now, it would be amazing given his age, because Phil Mickelson hasn't been able to be as good as these guys. I mean, he did win this year, but we know he's focused on the U.S. Open at Shinnecock. We'll see in a few weeks.
Right.
But age does factor in, obviously. As I'm learning firsthand.
It's good to see him.
I'm 46.
It's good to see him playing at the level these guys are playing at now. When we were talking 2 years ago on the show, or last year, or 8 months ago, it's just good to see him as part of this group, because this group was fun to watch and has been fun to watch for a few years now.
Sure
we get new guys like Justin Thomas comes onto the scene now. Griot's lights out. Justin Rose is kind of hitting his stride. It's good to see him playing with all these guys, because there was just even though as good as they were, and Jordan Spieth, the great year he had, Dustin Johnson's trials and travails and finally coming through, it's more exciting to see him if he can beat these guys.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Totally
I'd love to see him beat these guys, because these guys are players, and they're just
it'd be great for golf.
So consistent, and so many of them at the same level.
Yeah, be great for golf. That's for sure.
Well, speaking of the U.S. Open that's coming up, you got the Memorial, then you got FedEx St. Jude, and then the U.S. Open, season's second major, and then it's like major FedEx Cup playoffs. Summer will be over before you know it.
It does go by fast.
But according to VegasInsider.com, right now, Dustin Johnson is the favorite at 9-1, followed by Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy at 11-1. Jason Day and Justin Thomas at 14-1 each. Tiger's at 16-1, which is kind of amazing. Seeing some of the guys behind him, like Ricky Fowler at 17-1, John Rahm at 18-1, and Justin Rose at 20-1, and Patrick Reed, the Masters champ, at 25-1. Those are your early favorites, according to VegasInsider.com. And
I'll take $100 on Justin Rose at 20-1.
Yeah, that's or John Rahm at 18-1. It might be his time. It's funny though. The number one player in the world and the number one player in FedEx rankings is 14-1. That's Justin Thomas. Dustin Johnson 9-1, and then Jordan Spieth and McIlroy both ahead of him at 11-1. That was surprising to me. I think that if you're the number one player in the world and in the FedEx Cup standings, how can you not be the favorite to win every time you tee it up?
Seriously, for Rahm and Rose to be behind Fowler, like, is it just the name? Do they just look at some of these names and just say, let's just throw them up there?
Well, I think they're accepting bets now too, so the way people are wagering affects these odds too.
True. I can see Dustin Johnson, but I don't know why I would put at this point in this season Spieth or McIlroy ahead of Justin Rose and John Rahm.
And I don't know anything about history at that golf course. Last time the U.S. Open was there was like 2008 or something like that. Was that right? 2004?
Something like that.
And they really
a while ago.
narrowed it up, and it was very penal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to spray some greens on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll have to see how they do it this year.
That one green couldn't hold anything. It was a par 3, I think.
Number 7 rings a bell, but
something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was.
You never see them come out with a hose on a Sunday.
No.
And stop play.
Bad deal.
Yeah.
And the players were livid.
They were. And USG's loosened up a little bit since that time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they've struggled in this millennium, I guess, since 2000. The USGA has struggled with putting a tournament on that. The U.S. Open's starting to lose a little respect worldwide, I think, as opposed to the other 3 majors because of some of this stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's always been my second favorite. I've always been a Masters first and U.S. Open second.
Right.
But and then of course the PGA is going to move to May. Everything's going to be different next year. I can't wait to when they finally finalize this new schedule and we can break it down and see what it's going to be like. It's going to be fun. But let's shift gears right now and just talk a little general golf for all the golfers out there. And a lot of these topics I come up with when I'm out there playing golf. And at Sac Falls Country Club where I play, there's a couple shots, par 3 tee shots, and it happens other places too, but every time it seems like I'm on the blue tees at the 7th par 3 and the 17th the par 3. I'm deciding whether I'm going to try to hit my 5-iron or some sort of 4 hybrid, my 4 hybrid, sometimes 3 hybrid.
Right.
And more and more I've been going hybrid, and the results have been better. I think that when I choose I choose the iron, I need a really pure strike. I need to hit it straight. I can't have too much hook, or I can't double cross. It's less forgiving. Where with the hybrid, my worst shots are better. What's been happening is a lot of them I've been trying to smooth it, and I can sometimes cut or draw a hybrid a little easier than I can cut my iron. I can always draw my iron. So I've been going with a hybrid, playing some different shots. Sometimes a little frustrated when I really flush it, even with a nice easy swing and it goes long. But I think I found myself going more and more with the hybrid. And sometimes it's a pride thing too, especially if you're playing with good golfers and you got 3 guys step up with the irons and you're the one guy with the hybrid. Shouldn't matter, but sometimes it might make me go back and grab the iron just so I can be one of the guys. I don't know, Brownie. What you?
Well, first of all,
you carry hybrids, right?
I carry 1 hybrid. It's a 2 hybrid.
A 2 hybrid.
Yeah.
So you're not making that decision on those holes. You're never hitting the 2 hybrid.
I carry long irons still. I've hit the hybrid on 7 or 17 at home, but only like if it's cold and windy. I still prefer an iron. Although I think the design and the concept of the hybrids are much easier to hit. I just haven't made that transition to a 3 or a 4 or a 5.
So how far do you hit the 2 wood hybrid?
Well, actually, sometimes if it's not so bad out, I can hit it as far as I hit my 3 wood. Mm-hmm. I don't hit my 3 wood much. So I'll try to carry a 2 hybrid, 220, 225, and let it roll out.
Right.
That's a home
And how
run.
far do you hit your 4 iron?
4 iron, I can fly it sometimes 210.
Yeah. So that's just purely distance for you. You're never deciding.
No.
Do you ever consider? My 4 people, if I take my 4 hybrid, theoretically, that's supposed to go about as far as a well-struck 5 iron.
Right.
So, but what I found is that it goes farther for me.
Because you catch it solid.
Yeah, so it's a bigger club face.
Sure.
And you generally get more roll.
But you go back to what you said about being one of the guys and getting an iron out of your bag and all that. Anybody should hit the club they need to get the job done.
Right.
You tee off on the first hole and you don't like hitting driver, hit the hybrid there. What's the difference, right? When I was in junior golf one time when I was 13, 14 years old, there was a guy that hit a 9 iron all day long because he could hit it in the air.
Yeah.
All right, but it never went anywhere, never went crooked. At the end of the day, he never lost a golf ball. He shot 100, but he would have shot 200 with the only tallest clubs, right? So he did the best route he could to get the lowest score he could get.
Yeah.
And that's the objective. You practice on a range, you go out and play on a golf course. So if you got to hit that hybrid from 150, who cares? Because you can go down to a 6 hybrid.
Right.
I played with guys who've played par 5s at Seneca Falls, like 6 and 14, 7 iron, 7 iron, 7 iron.
Yeah.
And they swear by it because the 7 iron is the best club in their bag.
Yep.
They can hit 3 times
They're
good,
confident.
never lose the ball.
That's right.
Yeah.
When do you face that decision? What are your clubs?
So I used to have 1 hybrid, which was a 2-3. I hit instead of a 5 wood because I can hit that hybrid basically 210 if I strike it, and I about the same with the 5 wood. So I just felt it was easier to hit. So that one's more for distance. But then this year I put a 3-4 in, because I feel more accurate with that than my 4 iron.
And what brands are your hybrids?
Titleist.
Titleist, okay.
Yeah, and it's really helped me this year with Titleist. Getting back to the Titleist TaylorMade. Yeah, it's hard to go wrong. But with the 2-3, it really doesn't. Sometimes it's too much, and then I really got to hold back on it. But I'm not accurate enough with my long irons to try and hit that and jump on it and get that to where I want it to go. So I put the 3-4 in there, and it's really helped me out this year a lot with just stepping up and just hitting that club and not worrying about on a longer par 3. I can get it there, and I know it's going to go straight, and I'm going to swing it easy, and so that's really been a big difference for me, getting rid of my 4 iron.
It's gotten to the point with me in these hybrids though, where feel like I have more control with it than I do in iron. So today, for example, my second shot on 14, which is a par 5, my goal is to hit it about 200 to 210 down the fairway with good placement, and I could do that with a 6 iron. But I chose to take my 4 hybrid and take a little half swing that I can control, a nice little cut. It doesn't get more than 15 feet off the ground, I don't think, but know exactly where it's going, and less room for that disastrous error, I think. And so I've been using that shot a lot in place of just a normal 5 or 6 iron, because I've been more comfortable. Now things can change when you have to carry something or when there's a bunker guard in the front of these greens, and you do lose some distance control. And that's the same thing that's happened me on the par 3s. Distance control wise, I can't control the first bounce as good as I can with an iron. But I sure feel like I can control the direction and the shape better with a hybrid.
Like on number 3 for me with a 4 iron, I either push it or pull it and it's usually just short if I'm hitting it, if I hit it nice and straight. With the 3-4, I'm up there on the green, no problem if I hit it well.
With the hybrid.
Yeah, and that's made a big difference on number 7, the long par 3. I'm always going with my 2-3 hybrid, and it's usually pretty good. Sometimes it goes a little long, but that's okay. I'll take that as opposed to being not able to get it there with the 4 and not really accurate enough either.
I think with the you talk about a decision making thing about the hybrid, but overall, if you look at the manufacturers, more and more we're switching the makeup of a set of golf clubs down to a 6 hybrid. Okay, and for the most part, people would be better off buying that type of set because it takes a little club head speed and all that to get a 4 and 5 iron up in the air sometimes. To get some height and get some softness when it lands. So a 6 hybrid has got a whole bunch more loft. It's much more forgiving. So for the, somebody who's like even 10 handicapper, the hybrids are the right choice all day long.
And the 3 iron is becoming an endangered species.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you have a 3 iron in your bag?
It's in my trunk.
Oh, it's in your trunk.
The 3 iron's a new 2 iron.
Yeah, but I carry a couple wedges, so I had to make a choice. Sometimes I put the 3 in and take the 4 out. Okay, so if it's a day like I know it's going to be longer on 7 and 17, I'll put the 3 iron in and take the 4 iron out. So I can get a little bit more of a burrowing shot with the 3 compared to the 4 if it's going to chase out.
The 4 irons come out of my bag. I have a 4 iron as part of my Mizuno set, but it's come out of the bag in favor of the 2 hybrids and the 3 wedges. I don't know what I would give. I don't know. I would like to carry the 4 iron still, but there's no room. I don't know what I'd give up.
Yeah, I got 4 wedges if you count the pitching wedge.
Well, I'm not counting the pitching wedge. I have 3 Vokey wedges, 60, 56, and 52.
Right. So I take out the 3 iron to carry a 2 hybrid, which I find friendlier to hit at that point. But what I'm trying to do is I use the tee off on 10 and 11 primarily. Okay. And on both of them, I'm trying to get 10 out to the point, 11 down the hill. Okay. And I like that shot a lot better. So I don't hit driver on those holes. I never hit driver on, unless the wind's howling on 11, I don't hit driver. So,
well, I guess it really does come down to a personal preference, and what you should choose is what you're more confident in a consistent strike with.
Whatever gets you the best score.
But so. It is of all a lot of focus on drivers and even putters now. Hybrids have really changed the game. Everybody's carrying them. Like you don't even use it that much, but you still carry one.
Well, I'll use it at least twice around in 10 and 11. But
you're saying you hit that 2 hybrid on 10. I thought you said you were using your 4 iron on those holes. Oh, so you're using the hybrid. Okay,
always, yep.
Gotcha.
But I went for 2 par 5s over the weekend with a hybrid. I won't use my 3-wood, but I can hit the hybrid lower and chases out better. And I've never been a good fairway wood player. I like the hybrid a lot better in that case. And in reality, it's about the same thing.
What's the loft on it?
19, I think it is.
And the loft 17. On your 3-wood's probably about the same?
Probably 15.
15?
Yeah. But I like that a lot better. And it's a Titleist, just so we know the brand.
Well, we knew that. Do you have any clubs in your bag that aren't Titleist?
Common theme here.
I have a tailor-made putter. Spider putter.
Well, so doesn't everybody nowadays.
Yes.
Well, it's interesting. I think it's a decision that a lot of amateurs are faced with, and I think they get the feeling that the hybrid, even if it's like a 4 or 5 hybrid, is somehow a longer club than a 4 or 5 iron, which is not necessarily the case.
Correct. Right. Just easier to hit.
Yep.
Won't dig in, bounces off the turf a little bit.
Yeah.
Friendlier to look at.
Yeah.
for most people,
Looks easy to hit.
which becomes confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a big part of it.
Yep.
So real quick, I thought I mentioned that Paul Broadhurst won the senior PGA championship, which is his second senior major. And I like the senior majors, usually pretty strong fields and good competition. And hey, Bernard Longer didn't win it.
Right. And
Or Haler.
He's slowing down.
the girls' NCAAs, Alabama? Alabama played
Arizona.
Arizona won. They made
Yeah.
an eagle putt to get into a playoff.
Yep.
And then won the event.
And they do playoffs different.
Yes.
Yeah, explain it.
Well, all 5 played.
Yeah.
Everybody played one hole, and it became a relationship to par for your 4 best
Different
scores.
holes, though, right?
But some were par 3, some par 4, some par 5.
Yeah.
But it was all in relationship to par. You just take your 4 best scores, so you could have thrown the par 5 out, but it doesn't do anything better because you're taking a par 3.
Right.
You have the relationship to par.
It's like
They had played 2 holes to do that.
it's like penalty kicks.
And what
And-
sucked is they played one hole, had to wait
Yeah.
because it was done to find out where they stood.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
It took a long time. It was already a long day.
oh yeah,
And the men's, the individual men's champ is from Augusta State.
right. Just won tonight,
Right.
and they made the cut to the final 8 teams. It starts tomorrow.
Right.
But the Augusta State didn't get in the final 8. Just one guy won the
The
national.
world of golf is really
Right.
pumping up the college game now
Yep.
because I think they see a nice product
Yeah.
that they can, feature on Golf Channel or on ESPN, and so you see the association with the player schools on the leaderboards now and things like that. And I think it's a good thing. I think college golf should get some more attention. That the Golf Channel's documentary on Oklahoma State
Yeah.
was pretty good
Yeah.
viewing.
I was following Division II last week because my alma mater, Barry University, was in it amongst a handful of others. But the level of play, even on their team, they have 2 kids. One played at Florida State and transferred there. One played at Florida and transferred there. So
Right.
Division II golf
Right.
is lights out. The kid from Barry on I think day 2 of the individual shot a 62. Yeah, I mean it's
player.
it's good golf.
Well, we're almost out of time here for this week. Really putting a ribbon on the Memorial Day weekend. Back to work tomorrow. But we got the Memorial Tournament this weekend. Huge purse, $8.9 million. Jason Duffner, your defending champ. Again, that's on CBS, followed by the FedEx St. Jude. Daniel Berger is your defending champ there. And then it'll be the U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills. Brooks Koepka, the defending champ, on Fox. So we'll see what Fox has in store. And then that is followed by the Travelers, the TPC Potomac at Avenel, the National, the Greenbrier in West Virginia, the John Deere Classic in Illinois, and then the Open at Carnoustie. So there's your schedule. And it's a fun time of year heading into any major. We're just 2 tournaments away from the U.S. Open. And so I think that what we'll do is we'll be back next week. We'll probably take 1 week off after that, and then it's the U.S. Open preview, correct?
Yes, something along those lines. I think we might be here for a couple of weeks, though. I think because we said the 11th we had an interview that we were scheduled, so I'm not sure.
Oh, we're going to interview.
I think we go right through because if you follow up the Memorial this week with FedEx, but we'll recap the Memorial, and then the following week is the preview for the U.S. Open. So.
Well, no, next.
You're right.
Yeah, okay.
St. Jude drops in there, so we'll be here for a few weeks. Yeah, I don't think we don't really have.
Our fans are breathing a huge sigh of relief.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness.
So hey, thanks for spending time with us here on the GolfJ.com podcast. Connect with us online at Twitter at the GolfJ, on Instagram at the _GolfJ, on Facebook at facebook.com/GolfJ. All of our episodes in the best of the wide world of golf on the web can be found at golfj.com. We'll be back next Monday night at 9 p.m. Until then, hit 'em long, not often.
GolfJ.com